Tyson Fury returned at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with an emphatic unanimous decision win over Makhmudov.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I was expecting a little bit more excitement. I don't know. It didn't seem like any moments where, he tried to like press the action a little bit or hurt him a little bit. And I think that's what I wanted.
I knew that Tyson Fury wasn't going to go in there and try to out-bully him because I thought that was going to be the wrong game plan. And I think his game plan was great. Outboxing Makhmudov, showing that Makhmudov doesn't have a high boxing IQ. You're going to make him look like an amateur.
Maybe I'm crazy, but with that performance, it doesn't get me excited to watch him go up against Anthony Joshua. Now, we're not even getting the best version of these guys.
I mean, I agree with you. I do think that the fight obviously should have happened before. But at the same time, I'm of the opinion that better late than never.
You say better late than never. When Manny Pacquiao fought Floyd Mayweather, that fight was labeled fight of the century. That shit was ass. You know what I'm saying?
But I still want to see it. And I think the boxing fans still want to see it.
Welcome back to another episode of the Last Round Podcast, where we cover everything from traditional boxing to influencer boxing and everything in between. In today's episode, we'll be going over the return of Tyson Fury as well as Conor Benn and Zuffa Boxing. But before we get into the episode, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow us on all forms of social media. Lastly, we're trying to build up a community on Discord, and you guys joining would be greatly appreciated. And now diving into the episode. Around a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, Tyson Fury returned at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium with an emphatic unanimous decision win over Makhmudov in a fight that had a lot of mixed reactions. Many people said it's nice seeing Tyson Fury return. Other people said that fight really sucked. Either way, Tyson Fury returned with the win, and he then went on to call out the big man, Anthony Joshua, in a fight that's been brewing in the UK for many years. But before we get into that Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, what was your guys' reaction to Tyson Fury's return to the ring?
Yeah, the Gypsy King is back, and I, for one, am happy. I think some people are hating on him. People are saying they weren't impressed by him. But I thought after like a year and a half of inactivity going up against this guy Makhmudov, who is active, I thought he put a decent performance up. And, I think with Tyson Fury in the heavyweight division, it's always just a fun time to have him there. And he definitely brings a lot of excitement. So, I mean, this past week, it wasn't anything different. And, he went in there with the big splash calling out AJ. And he put up a good boxing performance, so I was really impressed by it.
I think with everything that happened over that past weekend was the fact that I think boxing does need Tyson Fury. I think he does bring that element of trash talking, and it brings a lot of eyes to him and his fights. If I'm not mistaken, alone in the UK and Ireland area, I think they got like 5 million views for the fight. So, and that's just over there. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't even taken into consideration, all the people here in America that watched that fight. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Tyson Fury is a guy that I love watching, inside the ring and outside of the ring. But he fought the way exactly what I thought he was going to fight, get the decision victory. But I thought it was going to look better. I will give him some credit, the fact that, he had been out of the ring for a while. But, some of these other lower level guys like David Allen, put up a better performance, I think. Or he was able to hurt Makhmudov much more, take more risks. And, I thought Tyson Fury was going to have something like that. But he just kept touching him, moving around, and, just won like that.
Yeah, and I think that was the game plan. I think with Tyson Fury, we've seen him have two different types of styles when he fights. Sometimes, I think it especially changed with that second Deontay Wilder fight. He went in there, the first fight, he was on his toes, moving like a middleweight, sticking out that jab, on the back foot, trying to outbox Deontay Wilder. And he got a draw. Okay, in the second fight, he got the new trainer, and he went in there, and he was on the front foot. And he was he was much heavier as well. And he was pushing Deontay Wilder back and stopped him, dropped him a couple of times, and then finally stopped him. With this one, I mean, the thing is, that's what you're saying. I knew that Tyson Fury was going to go into this fight and, put his boxing hat on. He was going to be on the outside, sticking the jab, and, using lateral movements to outbox Makhmudov, because Makhmudov, say what you want about him, but that's a strong guy. He's physically imposing. He's very strong. So I knew that Tyson Fury wasn't going to go in there and try to out-bully him, because I thought that was going to be the wrong game plan. And I think his game plan was great, outboxing Makhmudov, showing that Makhmudov doesn't have a high boxing IQ. If you don't actually stand there and trade with them and you use lateral movements, you're going to make him look like an amateur. And I think that's what Tyson Fury did. I saw great switch hitting. He was southpaw. He was orthodox. He was sticking out that jab. He was quick, speedy. His footwork was on point. He landed a couple of clean uppercuts, counter uppercuts on Makhmudov. I think overall it was an impressive performance if you look at it through the lens of Tyson Fury being a boxer and not trying to go in there and out-bully Makhmudov.
Maybe I'm crazy, but with that performance, it doesn't get me excited to watch him go up against Anthony Joshua. I don't know why. And especially if he knew that AJ was going to be there and he was going to call him out. I was expecting a little bit more excitement. I don't know, but I guess I have to give him some leeway. You know what I'm saying? Being outside of the ring for that long, shooting reality TV shows. I'm guessing that took most of his time or whatever.
Would you have only been impressed if he stopped Makhmudov?
No, it's not that. I thought he did.
Because he shut him out.
He did shut him out, but it didn't seem like any moments where he tried to press the action a little bit or hurt him a little bit. He did land a few uppercuts here and there, but I don't remember ever seeing him hurt Makhmudov, and I think that's what I wanted. I think it's kind of like how Shakur, if he just keeps winning the rounds as the rounds go by, but he's not taking risks, then it's come on, dude, do a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? You're already winning. You already have him timed. You have your distance. Might as well, maybe press the action a little bit, just see what happens, and I didn't see that. So.
Well, now that we have that fight away, we now have Fury calling out Anthony Joshua right to his face, too, in front of the thousands in attendance, and Joshua was kind of trying to act a little it's your moment, it's your time, I don't want to impede on that, but Fury just kept calling them out, yada yada. They're just went in the verbal back and forth. Regardless, I feel like that fight does make sense to happen next. And honestly, look, because you said you don't think Fury would do good against Joshua based on this performance, but then again, let's look at Anthony Joshua's recent form. He's coming off from beating Jake Paul.
A good opponent.
A former top 15 ranked in the cruiserweight, Jake Paul. But okay, he's coming off from beating Jake Paul. Prior to that, he had a little over a year layoff when he lost against Daniel Dubois. And then before that, he had Francis Ngannou. And then before that, he had the Otto Wallin, which was an impressive win. So he was in good form prior to the Daniel Dubois fight. But then he got KO'd by Dubois. Went on the long layoff, came back, fought Jake Paul, who's considerable levels below Daniel Dubois. And now he's pinned up against Tyson Fury, who's coming off a 16-month layoff. I'm liking Fury's chances against Joshua. Of course, the puncher's chance will always be on Anthony Joshua's favor, but I think right now Anthony Joshua might be very vulnerable. And if Tyson Fury, even though he's 37 years of age, coming off from his 5th, 6th retirement, if he wants to make this fight happen, I think this is one of the best chances he has of beating Anthony Joshua.
I did not say that Tyson Fury doesn't have a chance of beating AJ. Obviously, he can. But another thing that I kind of came to the realization this past weekend was the fact that, you know, Tyson Fury is getting up there in age. I think, you know, Tyson Fury is kind of past his prime. I know how we like to say that heavyweights, you know, they can have their prime years a little bit farther ahead than some of these other lower level guys or lower weight class guys. But I just think he's at the point where, I don't know, like age is kind of showing a factor. And, you know, if they do end up fighting, I mean, this is a fight that should have happened like 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not 10 years ago, but like at least 5 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And now we're not even getting the best version of these guys. Man. I think that's what I'm seeing.
Well, I think for me personally, I mean, I agree with you, right? I do think that the fight obviously should have happened before, but at the same time, I'm of the opinion that better late than never, right? And these guys both are still in boxing. Like, they're not retired, right? Tyson Fury just came out of retirement. Anthony Joshua has been going through a lot of shit, man. But they're both still like active fighters. So if they're both still active, yes, the fight could have been made earlier, years ago, but I still want to see it. And I think the boxing fans still want to see it. I mean, let's not act like this isn't going to be a big money fight. They fight in the UK. That's going to be massive. It's going to be huge. The whole UK is going to pull up. They could probably get another Netflix fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is going to be a big money fight. So I think that should be next. And Tyson Fury is doing his part. He said in the post-fight press conference, if I'm not fighting Anthony Joshua next, I'm done with the sport. He said, if that fight isn't finalized, then I'm blowing up, you know, getting fat and retiring and riding off into the sunset. So on his part, it's a make or break. Either it's Anthony Joshua or it's retirement. And with AJ, like I said earlier, he's been going through some crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? He, first of all, got knocked out bad against Danny Dubois. Then that sent him into some resting period, let's say. Then he fought, you know, Jake Paul, which was one of the most crazy things I've seen. I still can't even like articulate what exactly happened there. I mean, I don't know what happened there. But that happened. And then he was in Kenya, I believe, or in Africa for sure. And he was in a car crash that two of his like teammates died. You know what I'm saying? That's going to do something to you psychologically wise. And Anthony Joshua has always been a fighter who, his mentality, if he's on, then he's a killer. But, you know, sometimes his mentality isn't there. And we've seen these little episodes of him. Specifically, we saw him against Usyk after that second fight. He was like, I don't know what he was doing after the fight. You know, he was going crazy. And it's always been a question with Anthony Joshua, like, where is he mentality-wise? Where is his mental state at? And, you know, after this happened with his teammates, I mean, that's going to take a toll on you too. So we haven't seen him in a real fight since Daniel Dubois.
You say better late than never. When Manny Pacquiao fought Floyd Mayweather, that fight was labeled fight of the century. That shit was ass. You know what I'm saying? Granted, I guess, you know, one of the fighters was injured, but who's to say that, you know, Anthony Joshua still isn't scarred, doesn't have that PTSD, doesn't have that fighter's mentality, you know, after, you know, going through that situation in December, I believe. So, and, you know, that's kind of like one of the reasons why I don't want to see this fight, man. The age, I don't know where AJ's head is at. Yeah, man. I mean, it's going to be a big event, but I don't know if it's going to actually deliver. I don't think people are going to be like satisfied that they actually fought.
I think it is. Honestly, I think, me personally, that's why I was impressed by Tyson Fury's performance. I thought he did great from being 16 months out of the ring, fighting an active guy who's very physically strong. I think he did great. And I think, you know, he's still in there. He still has some gas left in his tank. And with Anthony Joshua, there is a little bit more unknown because, you know, we haven't seen him in a real fight since Daniel Dubois. But, I mean, I think he's going to give it his all. You know, like, he's going to try to win. He's got a winner's mentality at the end of the day. So I think it's going to be I actually see their styles clashing really well. I'm guessing that Tyson Fury is going to implement a similar game plan to Makhmudov and try to fight on the outside, use lateral movements, you know, try to outbox AJ, where AJ is going to be the stereotypical bigger puncher, and, you know, he's going to try to go forward. He's going to try to land his combinations, his power punches, and get him out of there because, yeah, AJ, physically strong guy and got great power. So I see the fight playing out where it's going to be like a cat and mouse type of game where, you know, Tyson Fury is going to be moving around the ring with the lateral movements, and AJ is going to try to catch him. And we're going to be in like a constant suspense where, like, is AJ going to be able to catch him with that right hand, or is Tyson Fury going to box his head off? So I'm excited for that fight, and I really do hope that they make that next.
Well, Turkey Al-Sheikh was very vocal about wanting to make that fight happen next when Tyson Fury was verbally calling Anthony Joshua out after his fight against Makhmudov. So if anyone can make it happen, for sure, it's Turkey Al-Sheikh. But Tyson Fury returned back to the ring after his fifth retirement. And he's looking to take on the UK's biggest star, or one of the biggest stars, Anthony Joshua, in a fight that would potentially be in the summer. And honestly, I think it's fitting for a summertime showing outside. Maybe they're at the Tottenham Arena. Wembley would probably be the more likely venue to hold that event. But, I mean, I agree. It's a big money fight, Netflix deal, big stars in the UK. UK fans always pull through for their fighters, so I'm expecting nothing but huge spectacle and a lot of crazy predictions coming up if that fight gets confirmed in these coming months. But in regards to Tyson Fury Makhmudov fight, we also had the co-main event, which featured Conor Benn return back to a catchweight 150, taking on former two-time champion Regis Prograis in a fight in which he won very comfortably, unanimous, but failed to impress, and honestly left a lot of questions unanswered, and had a lot of people questioning Conor Benn's ability to perform at the welterweight division, the division he stated that he wants to return to. So, thoughts about Conor Benn's return to the welterweight division, or catchweight in this case, against former two-time champion Regis Prograis?
Yeah, I mean, we want to talk about a bad performance on that night. We're going to talk about Conor Benn, not Tyson Fury, because I was expecting a lot more from Conor Benn. I'm going to be honest with you. I was, especially after that second Eubank fight, you know, he impressed me a little bit. You know, he was explosive. He was quick. He adjusted from the first fight. Like, I was actually impressed. And I don't even like Conor Benn, you know, from all the PED allegations. So I'm not even a big fan.
No. They're not allegations. They're not allegations. That dude only hits hard when he's on the PEDs, bro.
Maybe, honestly, because I don't know what that performance was with Regis Prograis. He started off the fight so well. He started really good. The first 3 rounds, I think he stunned him after, like, at the bell on like the second round or the third round. Regis, literally, his knees buckled and he like stumbled back to his corner. And I thought immediately, I was like, okay, Conor Benn is gonna knock him out. Come to find out, we get to the middle of the fight. Regis Prograis is fighting back. He's landing some great shots on Conor Benn. He is like he's using some like weird, awkward waist movement and avoiding Conor Benn's right hand, and Benn just does not adjust. he's winning the fight based off just like athleticism, but it was so one-dimensional. You could just tell he was just trying to land his right hand, and he wasn't even adjusting to how Prograis was avoiding it. So it was just a one-trick pony. He did win. He was the victor, but we're talking about Regis Prograis, who, his best days are behind him. And after this fight, he retired. And he went into the fight with like injuries, with like 3 or 4 injuries. So it's like, I don't even know what to make of Conor Benn after, he comes off of a great win against Chris Eubank. And then now a very underperformance, it was not spectacular at all. I was expecting so much from him against Regis Prograis, and he just didn't deliver. So now I think there has to be we have to examine Conor Benn a little bit more closely going forward.
I wanted to take this time to, kind of bash on Conor Benn, but after much reflecting, I think this guy's kind of smart, man. Just the fact that how he was able to weasel himself into a one-fight deal for $15 million against a guy who was way past his prime and was basically about to retire, possibly.
And it was only a 10-rounder.
Was it really? Yeah.
It was only a 10-round fight, and he got $15 million for that.
Yeah, so I mean, you got to give props to where it's due. I'm pretty sure the next morning he had purchased 2 supercars. So props to Conor Benn. He's only he can do something like that. Stab his old promoter in the back and go with his arch nemesis. Yeah.
Well, yeah, Conor Benn allegedly made 15 mil from that fight against Prograis, but then a couple of days later or a week later or so, renewed or signed again with Dana White and Zuffa Boxing for a 5-fight deal. So I guess, or a multi-fight deal, and not 5-fight deal, multi-fight deal, my bad. So, he could potentially continue, or he will be continuing his relationship with Zuffa Boxing. The big thing, though, that happened during and after the fight was the reaction from a lot of the top dogs on X. Shakur was bashing them. Devin Haney was bashing them. Rolly Romero was bashing them. Ryan Garcia, the top 4, they're all bashing Conor Benn after his performance against Regis Prograis. But the big talk is Ryan Garcia versus Conor Benn, which is a potential matchup for later down the line, later this year, considering the fact that Conor Benn is the number 1 ranked fighter for the WBC. Ryan Garcia, keep in mind, is the champion for that sanctioning body. And 2, Ryan Garcia himself called out Conor Benn, saying, "Let's make it happen. Like I'll fight you." And Conor Benn, of course, jumping aboard and agreeing, saying, "Yes, let's. I want to take you on," stuff like that. So, Conor Benn, Ryan Garcia, 147. How does that fight pan out?
It's an interesting matchup stylistically. I think both of these guys have been criticized because they don't really have great boxing abilities. We look at Ryan Garcia, and for the longest time, everyone, like a lot of the boxing community, was making fun of him because he wasn't a world champion. And, he was at 135, he didn't become a world champion. At 140, he didn't become a world champion. And finally, at 147, he finally got that target. But, with him, they've been criticizing him for a long-ass time. They used to call him an influencer boxer. And they still do a lot of people still call him a one-trick pony, where he doesn't really have a lot of boxing skills, but he's blessed with some fast-ass hands and some devastating power that is able to, make him compete at the top level. I think the same thing is with Conor Benn, especially after this weekend. He showed us that, I don't think his boxing ability is at the elite level. I think he just isn't able to adjust he's not able to adjust in the middle of a fight. And I think that's what makes you elite. If after 4 or 5 rounds, let's say your opponent is doing good, what makes you elite is that you adjust to your opponent's style and you bring something new in the 6th round. With Conor Benn, it was the same thing. All 12 rounds, he was just trying to land that right hand, and it's very obvious. And I thought he was going to be a little bit more explosive, even a little bit more powerful. He landed some shots on Regis Prograis, and Regis Prograis ate them. We're talking about Prograis, who had his career at 140, and this is now 150. That's a 10-pound difference. And it seemed like Prograis was able to handle Conor Benn's power after 2 rounds pretty comfortably. So, I mean, if Conor Benn doesn't have world-class power, if he's not able to land the right hand and just completely knock out his opponent, I mean, what else is going to make him elite? You know, because his boxing ability isn't going to make him elite. And I think the same thing is with Ryan Garcia. I don't think, though, the thing that makes him a world champ is because, you know, he's quick and he has power. So I think, obviously, Ryan Garcia has the advantage physical-wise because he's like 5'9" or 5'10", and he's a lot bigger and a lot lengthier than Conor Benn. But I don't know. That seems like a very interesting fight. And one thing you can't take away from Conor Benn is his heart. And that guy's going to go in there and try to knock your head off. So that's going to make it complicated for anybody. So I hope this fight happens next because it seems pretty exciting as a boxing fan.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting if this fight ever comes into fruition. I mean, look what happened with Jai Opetaia when, you know, he was defending his belts, going for the Zuffa as well as the Zuffa title belt, and then the IBF took the belt away. You know what I'm saying? How's Conor Benn, you know, who signed with Zuffa Boxing, who has a TV network deal with, you know, Paramount Plus, like, how's he supposed to, like, head over to DAZN and, you know, fight Ryan Garcia for the WBC belt, which is a belt that his own organization, Zuffa, doesn't see or doesn't recognize. So either way, beside the point, Conor Benn can't knock out anybody unless he has his sunny side up eggs. If he doesn't have those eggs, no power. There's no power behind those fists, man. Regis Prograis was a guy who was about to retire, gets this opportunity to fight Conor Benn for possibly a good fight, you know, a good money bag fight. Conor can't even stop him, bro. Can't even stop him, man. You know, both fights, you know, with the main event and the co-main event, they were boring in a sense that, you know, there was no knockouts or knockdown or KOs, but Regis Prograis needed to show a lot more, man. You know, you got even guys like Shakur Stevenson who...
Regis or Conor?
Conor.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Conor. You got guys like Shakur Stevenson, who's a weight class below Conor, making fun of him, bro. Conor doesn't have the goods to become a world champion, and I don't think he ever will. You know, he's just lucky the fact that he has his daddy's last name. Because if it wasn't for that, he would be honestly a nobody.
Wasn't he a world champ at 147 before? Or no?
No.
Maybe he was just a top guy. I don't remember.
He hasn't even won a national belt over there in the UK, man. Like, he hasn't, you know, he doesn't have no accolades to his name, bro.
Yeah, his best accolade is beating Chris Eubank Jr. You know, that is his best accolade.
I mean, come on. Yeah, this guy was like fighting on a rehydration clause. We're going to give merit to that?
Yeah. Hey. Well, I'll stick to my guns. I think that rehydration clause is actually a good thing in that instance because it actually levels the playing field. Regardless, I digress. I think you bring up a good point though with Conor Benn and Zuffa Boxing, because it seems like Conor Benn wants to make the fight against Ryan Garcia, and even I don't know if Dana White and Conor Benn, after signing that 5-fight deal, they went on the Stephen A. Smith show. I don't know what it's called, but they were both talking, and Dana White said he wants to make that fight too. But what's gonna happen to Ryan Garcia? Is he gonna get stripped the same way that Jai Opetaia got stripped? You know, I think this is a really big question going forward with Zuffa, because if I was Ryan Garcia, listen, the Conor Benn fight sounds very interesting, but if I fight him, am I going to lose my own belt? You know, and like that's going to play a big impact into whether or not I even want to fight Conor Benn, because I want to keep my belt. I worked out very hard to get this belt. I just got it. I'm making my first title defense, and now you're telling me that if I fight on Zuffa Boxing, I'm gonna get stripped. I don't know. It is an interesting question, and I guess we're gonna have to wait and see.
And can he even do that? Like, he's signed with Golden Boy, and Golden Boy has a straight TV network deal with the Zone. Mm-hmm. So, like, can he even do that? Is that even possible?
Exactly. And yeah, I feel like the boxing politics are getting even more. They were already so confusing to begin with, but now you introduce Dana White and Zuffa Boxing. Now we got like it's just like a whole mess. You know, it seems like no world champion is able to fight on Zuffa Boxing without getting stripped, or somebody having something to say. Like, I don't know. It seems like it does seem like a big mess. But listen, I believe Dana White. Call me naive. Call me naive, but I believe Dana White when he said he came into boxing to make the biggest fights happen. I do think he wants to make Conor Benn against Ryan Garcia. We'll see what the boxing politics play out.
Well, speaking of Zuffa Boxing, you know, it's obviously big talks about what happens regarding champions coming in and fighting and whether or not they will remain champions afterwards. But I mean, we had Richardson Hitchins just recently signed with Zuffa Boxing, as well as the homeboy, the new Puerto Rican sensation, pop Latin star, Edgar Berlanga, signed as well. And Hitchins, let's keep in mind, 140 IBF champion. We just saw a month ago or somewhere around that line, Opetaia gets stripped from his cruiserweight IBF championship belt the day, you know, during fight week. So Hitchins, IBF champion, I mean, there's going to be some problems there already. Edgar Berlanga signing with Zuffa was a rumored signing a couple weeks back. I remember I saw rumors speculating that he was going to be one of the new signees, but it got confirmed earlier last week, was it? Or 2 weeks ago? Yeah, so we have two new signings, two big names, honestly. We have a champion in Berlanga, and Berlanga, you know, he's looking for big fights. He had a recent interview where he once again went at Hamza Shiraz, wanting a rematch, and then talking about the hand wrap allegations. And then the Hitchins, I mean, I'm not sure what he really wants to do. The Duarte fight was something that people still want to see, because as we know it, that fight didn't come to fruition because the day of he got sick allegedly. So I don't know what Hitchins' plans are, or Berlanga's, or how that's going to work, especially with, you know, if they want to fight champions or if they want to remain champions. Will they stay champions or will they get champions to fight on Zuffa? So it's big talk. But regarding these new signings, Berlanga, Hitchins, what are you guys' thoughts about that?
I mean, if I was Richardson Hitchins and I was in talks to sign with Zuffa, and I see another IBF champion in Jay Opetaia getting stripped during fight week, you know, the president of the IBF coming out and saying they're not going to recognize this bout, and then they take his belt away, I would be terrified to sign with Zuffa Boxing.
Not Hitchins. He's a guy that loves to go against the grain, right? Maybe it's because he's scared of his mandatory.
Or maybe, perhaps that could be one thing. But the other thing, I'm also thinking about, like, money. Because, I mean, they offered Conor Benn 15 M's, bro. 15 M's. Like, that's a ton of money. You already know that's way more than he made in any other of his fights. Even against Chris Eubank. There's no way he made 15 million. And now, I mean, if for Hitchins, if I feel like if I'm going to get my belt taken away, okay, but pay me a lot of money. And we already got a precedent. They paid Conor Benn 15 million, maybe they're paying them. Maybe they're handing out a pretty penny, honestly.
Maybe, man. But I think just with the aspect of Conor Benn, I think that's just an anomaly. I think that was just because he was over with Eddie Hearn in Matchroom. I think that's why he overpaid him. Because ain't no way Conor Benn is worth $15 million. He's not a fucking $15 million worth fighter, bro. Like, he doesn't have the scales and all that stuff. But I don't know how much they would have to pay Hitchins for him to be convinced to sign over his life. No, I'm just kidding. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then it goes with Berlanga, him wanting to make the biggest fights happen. So why go with Zuffa Boxing, man? You're gonna be restricted. You can't do what you want to do, and you gotta wear these black and white shorts, bro. Like, there's like you know what I'm saying, bro? It's like they say one thing, but then their actions reflect something else.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's strange to see all these guys signing, especially big names like, you know, Berlanga and Hitchins, especially Hitchins because he is a world champion, and the IBF openly denied Zuffa Boxing's existence, right? Like, so that was a bit interesting. I don't know if it's money or I don't know, or maybe Dana White is just a great like salesperson. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how he's able to convince these guys to sign with him. But at the end of the day, it's not his fault. It's the fighter's fault. You know. So like, if Hitchins gets stripped, there was already a precedent with Jay Opetaia. That's all on Hitchins' fault. You know. So, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe Dana White is confident that he's going to somehow be able to change the minds of these sanctioning bodies. Because with the WBC, I could see a little bit of a change. Because you already know Mauricio Suleiman is just a money-hungry leech. Right? He'll make any fucking fight happen if it makes him a lot of money. I don't know if, you know, we're talking about when Francis Ngannou came into boxing and, you know, he fought Tyson Fury. After that fight, Francis Ngannou was ranked in the top 10 for the WBC. No other belt did it, but just Mauricio Suleiman because he wanted to get another fight with Francis Ngannou. So, I don't know. Maybe with the WBC, we could be there's a little bit more leeway. Maybe they can work with Mauricio Suleiman, offer him some money, and have that fight happen. I don't know, but we'll see. I mean, with the IBF, I feel like it's going to be a lot harder. So I don't know if Hitchins has a plan for this. I don't know, you know, what his manager's thinking. But now, and we also don't even know the details of the signing, whether it's one fight or a multi-fight deal. I think they just said that they're the newest signees. But we're going to see. I really don't. Honestly, I could care less about Edgar Berlanga. You know, go stick to music, actually, bro. Okay? Stick to music. I'm more interested in Richardson Hitchins because he's a champion at the 140 division.
Well, I mean, Edgar Berlanga is exciting. He's an exciting person inside the ring and outside the ring. I think, you know, that kind of helps his case. But, you know, we know that Hitchins is ducking Duarte, right? He doesn't want no smoke from Duarte. And Edgar Berlanga says he wants to make the big fights happen, but, you know, he's out here signing with Zuffa. I think he's also scared about somebody. I think it's he's scared of Shiraz, you know? Do you know how hard Shiraz has to hit in order for Berlanga to accuse him of having plaster in his hand wraps? That's crazy.
Yeah, that was insane. Like, I could not believe. I literally could not believe. Like, Edgar Berlanga was all like, he's like, I never felt that before. He was like, oh, I don't know about his raps. And then after, like 5 seconds after, he's like, but no excuses, you know. It's like, yeah, you're making excuses right now and saying that Hamza Shiraz cheated against you. Like, that's literally the definition of an excuse. But okay, you're not making excuses because you took it on the chin, bro. It's like, no, he didn't have plaster on his hands. You just got knocked the fuck out, man. It's as simple as that.
What's up with these boxers having a team, you know, that, you know, that rides or dies for them, you know, they get them in preparation for camp and fights, but like when it comes to like marketing, like he doesn't have a homie that'd be like, hey man, you lost that fight. He's got a bunch of yes men probably.
Yeah, they need like a PR team. You know, they gotta get media trained. Be like, yo, don't be a
dumbass.
Yes. No, it's so unlikable because Berlanga already, he's not a very liked boxer. Like, he has fans, Puerto Ricans, but like, I feel like the boxing community doesn't really like him because he is kind of a loud mouth. He likes to talk shit. And he's never really backed it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't have like a super crazy win. And then after this fight, I mean, a lot of the boxing community was clowning on him because he got knocked out by Hamza Shiraz. And instead of like, maybe being a little bit more humble, maybe being like, yeah, like I was a little too overconfident. I thought I was going to bulldoze Hamza Shiraz. I've done a lot of like reflection and like I really have begun to like work on my craft and get better as a boxer. Instead of being humble like that, he starts just throwing some random ass accusations that Hamza Shiraz is cheating and is doing something with his hand wraps. Like, how do you think that's going to go over in the boxing community? We're going to call bullshit on that and say you're just saying that because you got embarrassed. Because that's what happened. You got knocked out. And instead of being like, oh, I'm going to work on my game and, try to be a better boxer, just blame the other guy for some hand wraps when there's no evidence. So that was very disappointing to see from Edgar Berlanga. It just shows you that he didn't learn anything from that knockout, and he's going to continue to act the exact same way.
And he's going to continue to say those exact same allegations for the rest of his life. Just like how Wilder has accused a Fury of, messing around with his boxing gloves in his second fight. That was like 4 or 5 years ago, and now he's going to release a documentary.
Hey, wait for that documentary. All the evidence is going to be in there, and it's going to be clear as day. I don't know why, me personally, I don't know why he would just send the evidence to the sanctioning body. No, but we don't got to talk about that. He's going to put it on his own documentary and be super neutral, and it's going to be the truth.
Bro, these fighters got to get paid, man.
Yeah, I guess.
Well, now that Zuffa Boxing officially signed they have Conor Benn, but officially signed Hitchins and Edgar Berlanga, there's a lot of talks on who their potential opponent will be, when they'll be fighting, and exactly how long they'll be fighting for Zuffa Boxing. There's still a lot of unknown regarding these new signings, but one thing is clear: Dana White is clearly trying to build up a very strong roster of superstars in order to entice other fighters to come in. I mean, they say, oh, look, Conor Benn, he got 15 million off fighting. Maybe if I sign with him, I might get something similar to that or even more. So there's a lot of talk regarding Zuffa Boxing. Some people love him, some people hate him. I personally don't mind them. I actually like the fights. I mean, their events have been pretty good
get on
recently.
your knees, bro.
No, dude. I think, listen, as a boxing fan, they do put some competitive fights. You can't even lie. They already have a knockout of the year contender.
Do you also like taking it up the butt?
Okay, bro. Listen, I'm telling you right now, you the bias against Dana White is showing because like the fights that they've put on, the clips that they've had is very impressive. And also even the amount of talent that they've been able to sign. I've been impressed by how fast Dana White has been able to infiltrate the boxing scene. And obviously he has Eddie Hearn a little bit shook. That rivalry is going strong right now. So I've been impressed by Dana White and Zuffa Boxing. They have been moving a lot quicker than what I would have thought.
Oh, they have another event coming up early May with the return of Bohachuk taking on Mosley Jr., I believe.
Yeah.
So people were actually very against that fight, by the way.
Why is that?
They think it's a mismatch, and they're like, Bohachuk's going to eradicate him. But regardless, Zuffa Boxing clearly very consistent, very active with their showings, and with the lack of top rank being there, I mean, Zuffa Boxing seems to have found a home in a lot of these boxing fans who look forward to consistent boxing programming cards. So Zuffa Boxing is doing their thing, and they're doing their thing by taking a lot of these big name celebrity fighters and having them sign contracts to fight with them. But we'll see what happens regarding the future of Zuffa Boxing, and more so the future of IBF 140 champion Richardson Hitchins and Edgar Berlanga, Puerto Rican hip-hop sensation. But I think we covered everything that we wanted to cover in today's episode. Let us know down below your thoughts on Zuffa Boxing regarding these new signees. Also, your reaction to Tyson Fury's return and your official prediction for a fight between Conor Benn against Ryan Garcia at the welterweight division. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on all forms of social media. We are on X, Instagram, and TikTok. Lastly, we're trying to build up a community on Discord, and you guys joining would be greatly appreciated. This was Pablo, and I'm with Rudo and Asa, and this was the Last Round Podcast. Thank you for watching.